Hey everybody, my name is Dr. Colleen Sierra. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and the founder and executive director for Sierra Center for Behavioral Health. Hi. Coming on today to address racism, non-racism, and anti-racism. So this is a post that's been inspired by the murder of George Floyd by a police officer, by 4 police officers specifically, and what my team and I have been experiencing in our sessions specifically with white folks is that there's a lot of confusion about these terms, that white people who don't identify as racist, they consciously feel like, well, of course Black Lives Matter, and of course we are outraged by this, and so they don't hold conscious personal biases, are saying things on social media and getting criticized as a result of what they're saying. They're being called a racist. And we're seeing this with a ton of white clients that we see, where people are confused by being called a racist, and they're angered or they're sad about it, or they feel terrible, and they're trying to make sense of what's going on. So I wanted to come on today to talk about some of these terms so we can contextualize what's happening for so many people. A quick caveat, I identify as a white person. I am doing my own work. So this is not me thinking that I know better. This is not me trying to teach a bunch of things. This is me learning and simply sharing my learning with other folks who want to learn and think they could benefit. So I don't think I'm speaking for any other race. I don't feel like a teacher. I don't feel like a medium between races. I'm just learning and wanting to share my learning with you all. So caveat to everything that I'm about to say. So racist. This is, according to, I think, Webster Dictionary, this is a person who shows or feels discrimination or prejudice against people of other races, or who believes that a particular race is superior to another. What I'm going to add to that definition is that what seems to be in this definition is an inherent assumption that this is deliberate and or conscious, right? They have a particular set of beliefs. It's this conscious thing that they're doing, and there's obviously way too much of this that's still around. Then there's this term non-racist, and I'm forgetting where I found this definition, but it said unprejudiced about race, colorblind, or impartial. And again, I'm going to go ahead and say consciously, because we can't be aware of what we're not aware of, right? So consciously unprejudiced about race, consciously colorblind, consciously impartial. And I think that this is how a good chunk of us white people would identify if asked. That we would say we don't harbor hate or racism toward any particular group. I think that's how, not the majority perhaps, but I think that's how a good chunk of us would identify. So we don't espouse or even hold conscious negative biases about people of color. Here's the important caveat. But just because we are not conscious of negative biases about people of color doesn't mean they don't exist, right? In fact, I can tell you that if you're white and you grew up in America, you do hold negative biases against people of color somewhere in you, because it's in your DNA. It's in the water we swim in. It's in the air we breathe. America was literally built on racism, on the backs and in the hands of Black slaves, right? So it's a part of America. We didn't choose it. It's been here all along, but it's a part of everything. every institution, every white person. It's just a part of everything. And just because we didn't choose it, or just because we don't have the intention of perpetuating it, doesn't mean that we're exempt from being a part of the solution. Okay? So that's why we have to become anti-racist. And again, I can't remember where I found this definition, but the definition I found is a person who opposes racism and promotes racial tolerance. And I'm going to go ahead and switch out equality for tolerance instead of racial tolerance. We can do much better than simply tolerating people of color. What we're looking to do is promote racial equality, okay? And I'm also going to add that opposition and promoting, they have to be verbs. These things cannot simply be this like cognitive or intellectual value we hold, or a verbal endeavor that only shows up when we're fighting with people on social media. This needs to be a verb. Allyship is a verb. So what I'm learning is that we white people, we need to do so much better if we desire to be true allies. And I believe that a lot of us do. We're just not doing a very good job of it, myself included. So we have to do so much more than just post on social media and argue with people on social media. We have to do so much more than just vent and complain to our like-minded friends about how terrible racism is and we feel so bad about it. Even donating money to anti-racist organizations is great, and it's not enough. We need to be doing more. So, for a white person to become anti-racist, we need to do our own work. So what does this look like? It means we need to learn about America's dark, grim history of oppression, enslaving, subjugating, persecuting, and murdering people of color. We need to take an honest look inside of ourselves and identify and explore our own internal biases, which is tough work because for many of us, it's not conscious, but leaks out and shows up in our behavior. And the only way to identify it is to learn about what that looks like and then take an honest look at ourselves. Okay, so that's step number 2. Step number 3 is that we have to educate ourselves, and we have to lean on other white people who are on their own journey of becoming an effective ally, who are also striving to do better. So who can challenge us, right? Because it's not on Black people, it's not on people of color to educate us, to give us feedback about how we're doing. We have to rely on other white people who are striving to do better to help us learn and grow, so that we're not placing that responsibility on people of color who have enough on their plate. I know this was a longer message than usual, but I just wanted to share and give that context for so many of the, especially white clients that we're seeing who are getting some negative feedback. And my hope is to contextualize that, to better understand where that feedback is coming from, and to give you, white folks, a bit of a roadmap, the roadmap that I am creating for myself right now about how do we do better. Something to think about. Thank you.